Next, we have Excellency Ahmet Mujahid Arisi. He is a member of the Parliament of Turkey. Can we please welcome him to speak?
Participants, I would like to salute courageous and strong women of the world from the Grand National Assembly of Turkey. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here. At such a critical moment in the global fight against COVID-19, we are gathered online together in the celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. As 2020 marks the 25th anniversary of the most advanced and wide-ranging strategic plan for the achievement of women's rights in countries and regions across the world, I'm honored to be part of this online event. I would also like to thank the chair for choosing the theme of this year as Each for Equal, calling on us all to remember our individual responsibility to contribute towards the creation of a fairer and more equal world. The Beijing Platform for Action remains as relevant today as it was when it was adopted at the Fourth World Conference on Women in 1995. As you all know, in Beijing, women gathered from around the world and from all walks of life to commit to a bold agenda for gender equality and women's empowerment. Since that day, the groundbreaking Beijing Platform for Action has been a strong guide to light our way. The Beijing Platform for Action remains as relevant today as it was on the historic day of its adoption. We still have a long way to go to full implementation, as no country has achieved full gender equality yet. The Republic of Turkey has got exceptional and unique experience on the status of women and the studies performed in order to empower women in the society. It's possible to see the reflections of this historical experience in all the decisions taken and policies pursued today in relation to the advancement and empowerment of women. Among the reforms which were realized in the years following the establishment of the Republic of Turkey in 1923, two are the most prominent ones. The Law on Unity of Education in 1924, which enabled women to have equal education opportunities with men by gathering education under one system. And the Turkish Civil Code, adopted in 1926, which provided equal rights for women both within the family and as an individual by completely changing the legal status of women. In addition to this, another significant stage in equalizing the legal status of women with men is the gaining of political rights. Turkish women were entitled with the right to elect and be elected in local elections in 1930 and in the general elections in 1934, earlier than many of the Western countries. Activities are continued in our national legislation based on the UN Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women notably, and the provisions of the Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence, the European Social Charter, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the decisions and recommendations of organizations such as the EU, ILO, OECD, OSCE, Action Program of the Fourth World Conference Women and Beijing Declaration, and the Action Plan of Cairo, International Conference on Population and Development. Dear participants, after underlining some milestones of women's rights in Turkey, I would like to inform you about present situations of Turkish women on participation in business life. Women's participations into labor force and employment is an important element of sustainable development. Ensuring sustainability in economic growth, achieving social development and social justice in the full sense can be possible only through full and equal participations of women and men into all spheres of life as executors and beneficiaries of human-oriented sustainable development. In order to raise women's social status and promote their participation into development, it is of significant importance to enhance the indicators of education, health, social security, and ensure equality between women and men, legally and in practice. In this respect, increasing employment via active labor force policies has become significant with the 8th five-year development plan. The active labor force policies aimed at increasing employability by improving the skills and efficiency of the labor force comprised of labor force training, education, and labor force orientation programs, availability of occupational counseling and guidance, developing job search strategies, employment of disadvantaged groups such as the unemployed, disabled, women and youth, entrepreneurship trainings and employment guaranteed training programs. In the 10th development plan, it stated that women's participation in business life, especially via education and promotion of their social participation, is one of the important factors that would influence the economic and social development of countries. And if the education industry cooperation policies aimed at qualified labor force are strengthened with precautions to increase women's labor force participation, Turkey has the potential to get the best of the demographic opportunities. With the improvement of education levels, increasing employability with active labor force policies, facilitation and encouraging of entry into labor market, it's foreseen that the rate of labor force participation would increase 5.3% during the 10th development plan period, and women are expected to be the main determinant of this increase. Besides the issues of increasing the rates of women's labor force, participation and employment are specifically included among the objectives of the Program on Activation of Labor Market, which is one of the priority transformation programs. Accordingly, the rise of women's labor force participation and women's employment in the plan period are expected to increase 34.9% and 31% respectively. Also, in the National Employment Strategy, it was aimed that women's labor force participation will be increased to 41% by 2023, and the informal employment to be decreased to 30%. The new economic programs include the provision incentives shall be developed for ensuring participation of young people and women in labor force in order to ensure implementation of active labor force programs, which focus on target groups, sector, region, and helping employment of them. Also, it's seen that the specific topics on women's employment are included by the 100-day action plans published by the Turkish presidency, providing an additional grant of 1,084 million Turkish liras for ensuring more participation of women, youth, and disabled, encouraging women employment through moderate work project. The strategy has been built on four main policy pillars and sector policies in order to accomplish the aforementioned targets. Main policy pillars in the strategy are defined as strengthening the connection between education and employment, ensuring the security and flexibility in the labor market. Increasing employment of groups requiring special policies, strengthening the connection between employment and the social protection. Dear participants, violence against women and girls remains one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violations in our world today. It occurs worldwide, cutting across all nationalities, ethnicities, generations, and spheres of our societies. At its most extreme, it takes lives and ruins communities. Every day, 137 women across the world are killed by intimate partners or other family members. The killing of women by their partners is often the culmination of long-term violence and can be prevented. I'm proud to say that Turkey was the first country to ratify unanimously in 2012 the Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence. Known as the Istanbul Convention, it provides a comprehensive framework to prevent violence, protect survivors, and prosecute perpetrators backed by coordinated and comprehensive policies and allocated resources. In line with the global standards set out in the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. On behalf of my government and my country, I say, we stand ready to continue supporting the civil society, including women organizations and all relevant stakeholders in their efforts to eradicate violence against women and girls. These include further strengthening the legal framework and its implementation, improving services for survivors, and addressing its root causes by tackling wider gender inequalities and challenging gender stereotypes, hate speech, and attitudes that lead to discrimination and condemn and incite violence. With 10 years left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, in line with the commitment to leave no one behind of the agenda in 2030. And as we mark the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, all members of society, each and every one of us, can help to stop this preventable global scourge and to create a world free from violence against women and girls. Thank you all for your time and attention. Thank you for listening. Dear participants, I would like to salute Virgin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arisi, and thank you for all the efforts and the work you've done in your country for women.